Hello. Happy Friday. Happy almost end of July. I am sorry that I didn't advertise this better, but I've been having a lot of questions about this. So I actually thought I'm going to do this quick meal planning live session for you. So I'm actually going to share my screen because I do have slides. And I'm going to just talk you guys through this because this is something, especially I feel like it's something that through the summer, if you can kind of get a beat on it, then it's going to make things in the fall when we get back to, maybe more routine, school, that sort of stuff. It's going to make life way easier. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why I actually used to struggle with meal planning big time. And I kind of had to overcome some of the I'll say like limiting beliefs where I was like, this is too hard. It takes too much time. I never stick to it, all of that. But yeah, I had all these kind of like preconceived notions about meal planning, and I would often talk myself out of it before I would actually even start. So it, in my head, like I said, it took a lot of extra time and brain power that I just didn't have. I was like, my brain can only hold so much. And this is not one of those things. And like I said, like 3/4 of the time, if I did take all the time to meal plan, we'd never stick with it. So why even bother doing that? Right. And now my two kids are actually very picky eaters. They're getting better, but they used to be terrible. Really, really challenging. So they never ate the things I planned and made. So again, it was frustrating because I'm like, I'm putting this time and energy in and they're not eating the things. This is a big one for summer. I was kind of like, well, what if we don't feel like eating the meals that we planned? Then again, it's also one of those things that's taken a lot of time and effort, and I'm not actually benefiting from it. And then the big one, I had no idea where to even start, right? So if any of this sounds like you, then this is something that you're going to want to watch, and you can keep coming back to it. But this should actually really help. So meal planning can be a game changer, especially when it comes to your nutrition, especially if you have, goals when it comes to your wellness, which if you're in this virtual fit club space, you are here for a reason, right? And maybe your nutrition is something that you're winging a lot of the time. So this is something that can actually make a really big difference. So meal planning may take time, yes, but it actually saves you time in the long run. Instead of trying to, think up things you're going to make after a busy day. Think about that. You get home from work and you're like, it's 5 o'clock and you're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to eat for dinner? Meal planning can save you money. So you only shop for the things that you need and that you're actually going to make and eat, which means less waste. I hate throwing out produce. I don't know about you. Like it just is a really big, irritant for me. So I'm like, if I can avoid doing that and wasting money and seeing that go into the trash, then I'm going to do that. Meal planning can also help with any of your health goals, right? That you have, and you can keep out of the drive-throughs and the takeout, which will actually help you become much more intentional, and it will be easier to kind of hit those health goals that you have. Now, bonus, I'm going to show you a 1-month rotation. I'm actually going to show you how to meal plan for an entire month. So this is something that I learned how to do. And I was like, this is kind of a game changer. If you're like, holy crap, we can't even meal plan for a week and stick to it, that's okay. I'm going to show you this, and it's going to be really cool because you're going to actually meal plan for a month with this kind of system, and then you'll be able to repeat it kind of each season. So once you have your monthly meal plan, next summer, you could use a similar one too. This actually allows you to use foods that are more seasonal and then change it up in different seasons so that you don't get bored of eating the same foods over and over again. So for example, like I find in the summer, we do more grilling, right? And we have access to more fresh fruits and vegetables. Now in the fall, you may have more of a focus on root veggies or comfort foods, stews, those sorts of things. So you're going to actually think about this kind of strategically as well. So here's step one. Step one is you're going to figure out how many nights you're planning for. Okay. So we know there's 7 nights in a week or 30 to 31 nights in a month, but there's ways to kind of take some of those nights off of your schedule. I don't have my calendar right here in front of me, but this is what I kind of started figuring out. And this kind of developed while I think we were in the pandemic or before it. Anyways, we started to have intentional takeout nights, right? So I was like, are we going to have those 1 time a week? Are we going to have them 2 times a week? Are we going to have them every other week? Whatever. I needed to figure that out. Number 2, when are going to be your yo-yo nights? So we like to call these you're on your own. And if you have small kids, don't freak out. I'm going to show you. I think I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. But yo-yo nights are so great because they let everyone in the family figure out their own dinner. They can have leftovers. They can grab something out of the pantry. It gives you a night off because let's face it, we're wearing so many different hats. It gets exhausting. I think that again, the pandemic, like I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like all I am doing is cooking meals. I had nothing else to do, nothing to look forward to. So it was just kind of like one of those things where I was like, okay, cool. We can take the pressure off. And, you know, most of the time my kids actually made really good choices when it came to that. So I'm not cooking like a brand new meal that night. We're figuring it out based off of what we have already. Number 3, figure out your pre-planned nights off. So this is, when you can use freezer meals. So say, I was talking to somebody in one of our chat groups and she was saying like, she likes to freeze some lasagnas. That's a great one. Soups, those sorts of things. Or if you batch cook, so say you do make dinner one night and you actually make extra, you can have these kind of on hand for nights off, right? And that being said too, it's really important to kind of have an emergency night plan. So this is where I feel like a lot of people kind of fall apart, myself included, is that, you know, say you're running late, things go later than planned, or they go off plan and, you know, something came up, whatever. Plan for the occasional one of those by knowing what you will eat and make in those scenarios so that you're not in a panic figuring it out then, right? So for example, one of my emergency night foods is French toast. Another one is scrambled eggs with turkey bacon, right? So we don't have to be like every single time there's an emergency night, be like, oh, well, we'll just have to get takeout or we'll just have to go to the drive-through. No, we can actually intentionally plan for these nights that might crop up by having that kind of sitting off to the side. We know, hey, if it's an emergency night, I'm going to make pancakes. I'm going to make the Fix8 banana oat pancakes or whatever, something that doesn't take a lot of time, that's easy to make and not have to think about. So your next step is how many nights per week does that leave you with? So if you have one takeout night a week and one yo-yo night a week, that's 5 nights a week that you need to cook, right? Adjust this to your situation. Maybe you do 2 takeout nights. Although I'm going to be completely honest with you. If weight loss is one of your goals, having takeout multiple times a week is going to make that challenging. Okay. So just a disclaimer there that the less takeout you have, the more you can cook at home, you are probably going to see your results happen faster. Okay. So 5 nights a week, is what you're planning for. And breakfast is always the same for me. And lunch is usually pieced together. So I'm not spending any extra time kind of thinking about, for me, for breakfast, I'm having my Shakeology with a bunch of stuff in it. Sometimes I'll have scrambled eggs with it too, or whatever, or something on the side. But I know that that's going to be my breakfast based off of that's a consistent breakfast for me. It doesn't require extra thinking. Lunch for me is usually like leftovers, extras, or I'll have like kind of an easy lunch list to go from. So tuna wraps, eggs and turkey bacon, charcuterie. Those are like a few things that I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to have for lunch. So I'm not worrying about, again, planning all my breakfasts for the week, all my lunches for the week, all my dinners for the week. I'm kind of taking that off the plate and out of my brain. So I'm not using up that space. Okay. So step 3, this is kind of where the magic comes in. Because if you're like me and you have picky eaters, or maybe a spouse who's not like the most helpful when it comes to this, gathering recipes and meals, this is going to change your life, honestly. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask the members of your family to list their favorite meals. And then you list your favorite meals to eat and your favorite meals to cook. Okay, this is the kicker. You don't want meals that you hate cooking, right? You don't want a whole month full of meals that you're like, oh my gosh, I hate making that, even if they love it or whatever. So write down meals that you actually like to cook, and highlight meals that the family all agree on. Okay, so that can be challenging sometimes. These may be like unicorns. We have like maybe 5, 6 that everybody agrees on, right? I also make a list of our favorite takeout locations and ideas for yo-yo nights, right? So for example, grilled cheese and soup, or peanut butter and jam, or leftovers, or crackers and cheese style platters, or breakfast, right? So there you go. So you're making this list, you're getting everybody's input on it so that it's not like you're just having all this pressure of thinking up all of these ideas and it's not even what people like. You're getting the input, you're gathering the recipes and the meals. Step 4, you're going to actually compile all of your favorites into your master recipe options. Okay. So I just keep this like on a piece of, I had like a big foolscap piece of paper and I just wrote them all on there and it sits right outside of our kitchen. So you can keep a list or like a little booklet handy and you'll have this to pull from, right? So continue to brainstorm for recipes from cookbooks, recipe sites, Pinterest. Body has so many different recipes on their sites. Try some of them. If you like them, keep them on your list, right? Another thing I like is to Google sheet pan meals because there's less mess and fuss because it's all on your protein, your veggies, your carb is usually all on one pan. Get recipes from your extended family that everyone enjoys. So maybe your mom makes something or your aunt or whatever. Add those to your list too. They're all going to go onto your like master spreadsheet. Like I said, you can do this in a notebook, or if you're more techie, you can do it in Google spreadsheets. Then you can actually even hyperlink your recipes that way. But like for me, I'm a pen and paper gal. So I'm like, okay, so if there's something that we made, for example, there's like a sheet pan recipe that we really like. I'll say who the, so I'll name it, whatever it was called in the website. And then I'll say who the like creator was of the blog so that I know I can Google that plus the creator and it's going to pop up for me. Okay. Step 5, don't forget simple meals that you know by heart, right? These could be things like spaghetti or breakfast for dinner or your famous chicken that you make, French toast or crepes, homemade pizzas, tacos. Keep it simple. Okay, this is probably the most complicated, overcomplicated thing I see. And I am guilty of it too. I get really uninspired and I'm like thinking that I need to have these crazy fancy meals. But the truth is I can actually kind of dig back into simple meals that I don't even need a recipe for, that I can add to my list and remember. Step 6, let go of overcomplicated expectations. All right. This is, again, like I grew up on a farm. We had very simple meals. There was a protein, there was usually a potato because that's what my dad liked. Sometimes there was a rice, and then there was veggies, right? If you keep your sides super simple, like roasted veggies, rice, quinoa, sweet potato, whatever, it's just going to make it, again, you're going to be able to change it seasonally, but it's going to make you not be having to think all the time like, oh, what do I need? And let go of the feeling that dinner needs to be gourmet each night, right? And start looking for simple options like instant pot ribs, chicken stir fry, chicken Caesar wraps, taco salad, Korean beef, enchiladas, teriyaki salmon, right? Again, doesn't have to be anything crazy fancy. You're not, trying to apply for French culinary school. You're just trying to cook for yourself and your family. Look at what foods are in season too and what your favorites are each season. So this is something that I'm like, I know we love green beans and sweet corn in the summer. It does not taste the same the rest of the year. So that's something we're going to eat a lot of in the summer, right? Make extra, batch cook, do freezer meals when you have the chance for later. Anytime you're cooking, if you don't love cooking, like I do not love cooking, anytime you're cooking, make double. That's like the best batch meal prep tip I can ever give you. Okay. So just make double the protein, double the sides, double the carbs. There you go. I think a big part of why a lot of us struggle with meal planning and dinners each week is because we feel kind of this guilt and these expectations over what we need to feed our families instead of just keeping it simple, right? So this is a big part of the process, is letting go of that overcomplication. Step 7, make your meal plan in your shopping list. Okay. So if your week looks like mine, 5 meals a week I'm responsible for, you need about 20 meal ideas or recipes for the month, right? So 5 times the 4 weeks. So sit down with your lists and start plugging them into your calendar. Look at your actual calendar too. This is another life hack for busy families. But what nights are you busier? When are special occasions, maybe a birthday or anniversary or something? What is your work schedule like? And when will you have more time versus less to actually cook, right? So look at the recipes for the coming week. See what you have in stock already. That's a big one: freezer, fridge, pantry. And then make your grocery list for the things you need to get in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. Okay. And then another tip, pull out the ingredients that you need each morning based off what you're having. Okay. No more guesswork at dinner time. I know for us, it's like, well, I didn't pull any meat out. And it's like, well, we better get takeout. No, we're actually going to make sure we've got our list. I put mine right on the pantry where my whole family can see it, what we're having. So there's no arguing, there's no like questions. And we make sure the chicken is pulled out for the chicken dinner that night or whatever. Okay, this is a sample. I just want to kind of show you that this is kind of what this looks like. So this is 4 weeks of dinners, right? So you can see on here, I've got some of everybody's favorites. So breakfast for dinner is something we have at least a couple of times a month because it's easy. It's something my husband can make, and I can get some help there. I've got takeout nights scheduled in, and I've got yo-yo nights scheduled in. And then you see I've got really simple things otherwise. So my youngest son loves turkey. He loves stroganoff and make it with ground turkey. So that's all that means. And it'll be over rice. Can always add veggies to these things too. So if you're doing portion fix, you can just customize these meals to fit in your containers. If you're doing to be mindset, maybe instead of having your turkey stroganoff on rice, you'll have your turkey stroganoff on cauliflower, right? Like you can tweak these so that you're not making multiple meals, but they fit with your meal plan. Grilled fish, veggies, and rice. They're very simple. We're just going to use whatever veggies we have in the fridge. Right now it's green beans and zucchini. So I know that, right? French toast and fruit is always a big hit. Pasta marinara with meatballs. Again, that's something that like I could have with veggie noodles or gluten-free noodles if that was something I needed to do. Barbecue hamburger and salad. You could go without the bun if you wanted to. Grilled shrimp and veggies. And I said, I'm going to make pasta for the boys because they don't like that. Right. So I've got a little note that and that's something that I probably, because see how I had pasta the night before or 2 nights before, 3 nights before, I would have made up extra pasta so that I could just throw some meat sauce on it. And there we go. I'm not actually cooking anything new. And then you'll see there's like a freezer meal in there, a couple of freezer meals, and then just some really easy stuff. Chicken burgers and sweet potato fries, honey garlic chicken wings and veggies, homemade chicken noodle soup, Big Mac salad, and the list goes on. Okay, so troubleshooting and customizing. If there's a certain meal that everyone enjoys, for example, in our house, taco night, don't be afraid of adding it in more than once, right? That could be something that every Tuesday, I know some of us do this Taco Tuesday. Another thing I would do too is like maybe we'd have tacos every other Tuesday. And on the opposite weeks, we would have nachos, right? So similar ingredients. I'm not going to have to worry too much about that. Or if you like to like customize your meals for lower carb with vegetable substitutions, you can do like a taco salad rather than having the shell, right? Or veggie noodles, like I said, versus pasta. Keep these recipes and meals online in a Google spreadsheet or in a binder, or like I said, I just kind of write them out so I know where to search them up. Change it up every season. So you can save money on seasonal foods. So you're not buying things that aren't in season and like, oh my gosh, I spent, X amount of dollars on raspberries or grapes or something. And just because they're out of season. And also so you don't get bored, right? And keep your meal plan somewhere where the whole family can see it. So again, there's not any excuses about oh my gosh, nobody put the chicken out. This is what mine looks like. This is something I actually got at the dollar store. I saw, I think it was Jillian had this. So it's just like a wooden dry erase board. You'll see I have my same breakfast on here every day. And then I've got lunch options. And then I actually write lunch options right here. So breakfast sandwiches, leftovers, wraps, eggs, soup. Make simple, small goals for the week. Look at what's coming up. So that's big for me as I know, okay, like we have baseball this night. So I'm not going to have a lot of time to cook because we got to be out the door by 5:15, right? Plug in your dinners from your monthly plan. Plan a consistent, healthy breakfast that keeps you full and satisfied. Okay, that's the big thing. Some people skip breakfast. I think breakfast is important, especially if you have any hormone issues. It's really important to have 3 balanced meals a day. So making sure that you are getting, protein and carbohydrates, veggies are a bonus, or fruit if you can get that in as well. But you really want your breakfast to be keeping you full and satisfied, right? And then, like I said, I just make a list of lunch options that are balanced and easy. And then I work backwards from dinner if I'm following portion fix. So I'll be like, okay, these are how many containers I need for portion fix. Like with so for example, my one night was sun-dried tomato, salmon, and broccolini. Okay, I know I need to work backwards from that. I've got a red, I've got a couple of greens, maybe I've got a couple teaspoons, and then I'm subtracting my containers. And what am I left with? That's how I'm going to figure out what my lunch option is, right? If you're doing to be mindset, You're just going to plate it. You're going to follow the plate it thing, which is really, really easy to do. All right. That is actually what I have for you to share. This is something I said I haven't shared in a while, but this is something that has served our family super well. And I hope that it can help your family too. And it's something that you can kind of try out over the month of August. And by September, you'll be a pro at it. And you'll be like, look at me hitting my goals, feeling great, meal planning for my family, not wasting any food, saving so much money and calories because I'm not getting takeout all the time, and feeling like a success. Okay. So let me know what you guys think of that. And I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. Take care.